I am jumping on a bandwagon, a historical fiction bandwagon. Won't you come with me? Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly. I read and review a lot of historical fiction, and since starting my booktube journey, I have been looking for and finding some really great historical fiction content creators here on booktube, but there's one in particular whose work I just love, and I will watch anything that she creates and puts out. I'm talking about Shelley from Shellyish. And she recently published a video about a June historical fiction reading challenge that she and a few other really great historical fiction content creators or bookish content creators who love historical fiction have created. And I'm jumping on this bandwagon. I've linked everyone or tagged everyone in the description to this video. So thank you to all of the people who came together to create this really terrific reading challenge. I'm going to tell you in this video what are the 5 prompts. Obviously I want you to go back and watch their videos for their content. But I want to tell you about books that I think would be great for these prompts and the books that I am considering reading or that are on my TBR that match these prompts. So books I've read and books I plan to read eventually, and some that I hope to read in June. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. This is a long list, so I'm going to breeze through this. I'm going to try and be quick because, I don't know how long my battery's going to last. First is Shelley's prompt, which is historical fiction about a real life person who did extraordinary things. And I've got a couple of different books that I have read that fit this category that I highly recommend. One, of course, actually a couple by Ariel. Let's just start with her because I love her work. The Frozen River, everyone loves. This is based on Martha Ballard, an 18th century midwife. It is a really propulsive story that I think everybody should read, though it's not my favorite Ariel Lawson. That is codename Helene, which is based on Nancy Wake, a journalist who joined the French Resistance and the Special Operations during World War II, or the British Special Operations Unit during World War II. I love that book. I love Nancy's story. It just is chef's kiss. Also recommend Diva by Daisy Goodwin. I talked about that one in this video. It was one of my top reads of 2024. This is the story of Maria Callas. It's not necessarily her rise to fame, but her life after fame and during her relationship with Aristotle Onassis, who later married Jackie Kennedy. It's sultry and it's so good. For anyone who doesn't know, Maria Callas is a famous opera singer from the 20th century, if not the most famous female opera singer from the 20th century. Becoming Madam Secretary by Stephanie Dray. This is based on the first female cabinet member, Frances Perkins. And I love this because it had such a social welfare twist. I'm a social worker, so that was really fun to see like how FDR created some of the social safety net programs that exist still today with the support of Madam Secretary. And it's a slower book. It's thick. So it might be a really good summertime read if you like those kinds of books that you'll keep going back to, each night and kind of read a little chunk and leave it and come back to it, because it's not a very fast-paced book. It's much more of a character-driven story. A little bit more of a faster paced book that I devoured is Let's Call Her Barbie by Renee Rosen. I love Rosen's work, and this I was so surprised by it. I did not expect this to be as good as it was. So this is the story of the co-creator of Mattel, Ruth Handler, who was the creative mind behind Barbie. And it's kind of a workplace drama that I just gobbled up. I loved this book so much. Another by Renee Rosen that I think would fit this bill as well is Fifth Avenue Glamour Girl. This is a fictionalized account of Estee Lauder, who created a beauty empire that started in her kitchen. I mean, really good. Really, really good. Let's March On by Shara Moon. This is based on Lizzie McDuffie, an African-American maid in FDR's White House who helped shape the Civil War movement through her connection with FDR. Another character-driven story that doesn't have a lot of big, plot points, but is very good. Harlem Rhapsody by Victoria Christopher Murray. This is the story of Jessie Redmond Fawcett, a literary editor who helped to give birth to the Harlem Renaissance. I loved this book. Not everyone did. I would suggest go and watch my video on this. I talk a little bit about why I think it doesn't work for some people, but I really appreciated it. Now for the books that are on my TBR. I haven't yet read them. First is Finding Margaret Fuller by Allison Pataki. This is based on Margaret Fuller, the first woman admitted to the men's only Harvard Library. I have only heard good things about this book, but I don't know a whole lot about it. A Sign of Her Own by Sarah Marsh. This is based on a student of Alexander Graham Bell's deaf school who he later calls on for like a testimony, and she's like, not having it because things are not what they appeared at the school, and the relationship between Graham Bell and the students. Island Queen by Vanessa Riley. This is based on Dorothy Kerwin Thomas, a formerly enslaved woman who went on to become one of the largest landowners and very influential woman in the West Indies. The Invisible Woman by Erica Robeck, whose work I've enjoyed in the past. It's based on a World War II heroine, Virginia Hall. Don't know a whole lot about her. The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. This is based on Belle DeCosta Green, the personal librarian of J.P. Morgan, who essentially kind of put her life, or who had a big secret. This is the one I'm going to end up reading, and it's one of the books that my online book club is voting on for June. I think I'm also going to read this one, just because it's been a while since I've read anything by this author, and I really loved her work. Circling the Sun by Paula McLean. This is based on Beryl Markham, a record-setting female aviator. And it just sounds so good. It sounds so good. Next up is the prompt from, I believe it's Connie Reads, and it's stories, historical fiction stories that feature the arts. And I have a few of these, a couple that I just recently read. The English Masterpiece is the brand new novel by Catherine Ray, whose work I love. This was really good. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this book and did not want to put it down. It is a story about art forgery centered around various works by, or one particular work by Picasso, but various works of Picasso's art are featured in the story, and as well as other prominent 20th century artists. And I loved it. It features the Tate Museum. It's just really, really, really good. The Paris Deception by Bryn Turnbull. I really loved this story when I read it. It is a World War II story about two women who helped save masterworks from Nazi destruction, because, obviously everything that the Nazis didn't like was going to be destroyed, and these ladies were like, no way, we're not having this. Picasso's Lovers by Jean Mackin. Now this is not necessarily about a specific work of art, but an artist. And what I will say about this book is I remembered reading it and thinking, man, some people are going to love this and some people are going to not like this at all, because it does feature an infidelity storyline, and I know some people aren't into that. But I really thought this was like a great summertime read. It's actually one of the books featured on my summer reading recommendation, or my, what am I calling it? I don't know. A big list of summertime books that's exclusive to my email subscribers. Oh, thank God it's Friday. It's a story about like the women caught up in Picasso's life and art, And it's really good. I love the setting of this book. It was really, really good. The Secrets We Kept by Laura Prescott. Let me try it again. The Secrets We Kept by Laura Prescott. I keep saying that. I love this book. I really did enjoy this book. And I think it's because I love Dr. Zhivago so much. This was a really cool kind of like reimagining of how the CIA infiltrated the Soviet Union to get their hands on Pasternak's novel, Dr. Zhivago, which was never going to be published in the Soviet Union. They got a copy and published it outside of the Soviet Union, and it became, this literary masterpiece. This one is not so much about the arts, but it's about art and like the creation of art. And that's Songs in Ursa Major by Emma Brody. And I literally could not stop thinking about this book for months after I read it. And it made my top reads of the year that I read this, the year that it came out. It is a fictional story about two young musicians caught up in like the whirlwind of romance and music making. And it's loosely based on the love story between Joni Mitchell and James Taylor, if that tells you anything. It's really intense. The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis. This is her latest, and it's a dual timeline, so it fits another prompt that we're going to talk about in a second, about a young female Egyptologist who discovers this ancient artifact that really kind of changes her life, the course of her life. I enjoyed this one. Fiona is kind of hit or miss for me. I feel like Fiona Davis's work is work that I can always read and find something to enjoy about it, but it's not going to like blow my mind. On to the books that are on my TBR, and the one that I think I'm going to read. The Keeper of Lost Art by Laura Morelli. This is brand new, and it's a story of a young woman who is staying with her family in Tuscany in this villa where they have sheltered treasured works from the Uffizi. The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Tracy Chevalier. Everyone knows this book. I have not read this, and obviously it's kind of like a fictionalized account of the story about a young woman believed to have inspired Vermeer's famous painting. The Painter's Daughter by Emily House. This one came out recently, and it's the story of two beloved daughters of 16th century English artist Thomas Gainsborough. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it got some pretty good reviews. And lastly is the book that I think I'm going to read, The Riviera House by Natasha Lester. I love her work. This is the story of a young woman who risked everything to record the pillaging of master artworks by the Nazis. The next prompt was really fun. And I don't have such a long list for this because I couldn't find a whole lot, and I couldn't remember a whole lot of books that I read that met this criteria. A Web of Stories has challenged people to read historical fiction with like an alternate twist to history. And a few books came to mind. One that I just finished called The Trader of Sherwood Forest by Amy Kaufman. Now, I know, like, is Robin Hood a real person? Well, I mean, some people say yes, some people say no. I think there's probably it's somewhere in between. If I had to guess, I'm not a historian, I don't know. But this is a reframing of the infamous Robin Hood legend, and it is dark, and I enjoyed it very much. Widowland by C.J. Carey. I did also enjoy this. Was it the best book I ever read? No, but it really got me thinking. This is reading my notes here because I liked what I wrote, an exploration of life after World War II in Nazi-occupied England. Another one that is not really alternate history, but it's an alternate take on a beloved book. The Scandalous Confessions of Lydia Bennet Witch. This is for my Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice lovers. This is the story it focuses on Lydia, the most scandalous Bennet sister, who also happens to be a witch. It was fun and a lot. It was just, I enjoyed it very much. The book that I'm probably going to read in this category, because it's an arc that I need to finish, or start and finish, Beyond This Place of Wrath and Tears by Jack Ford. And this is a reimagining of the post-World War II life of Lee Carson, who was a frontline female journalist during the war. The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead is a reimagining of the Underground Railroad, the famous Underground Railroad during the times of slavery, with an actual railroad. A lot of people love this book. It's on my TBR. One that I'm about to finish that I was really surprised by. This is an indie authored or indie, yeah, this is a book by an indie author, Leah Toole, who I am friends with on Book Talk. It's called The Rose and the Pomegranate. And this is like a what if story about Arthur and Henry Tudor. What if Arthur had survived? It's really good. The Man in the High Castle by Philip Dick. This is obviously a famous reimagining of what if World War II would have ended differently. 11/22/63 by Stephen King is a time travel book about a man who's determined to prevent the assassination of JFK. A lot of people love this book, but it is thick. And lastly, I found this one when I was like researching, and I was like, man, that sounds really good. The Years of Rice and Salt by Kim Stanley Robinson is a what-if story that kind of imagines the eradication of 99% of the population during the 14th century Black Death epidemic. The next prompt is from Literally Smitten. And the prompt is a historical fiction with a dual timeline. And there's a lot of books that fall into this category, but I wanted to kind of freshen it up a little bit and tell you about a few books that I think would be great for this. If you want something different from World War II, there are some World War II books in here as well. One is Call of the Wrens. This is actually a World War I and World War II book about two women who served for the Women's Royal Naval Service, or the Wrens. And there's a unique connection between the two. I love this one. It's by Jenny Walsh. It's really good. The Sirens by Amelia Hart. I just finished this, and man, this was good, y'all. I did not like Wayward as much as other people. I found that the timelines were all very, very similar. And technically this one has 3-ish timelines, but it's not quite 3. I don't know how to explain it without giving anything away. This is a historical fantasy set in the 21st century and the 19th century about the resilience of women, and it is dark, gothic fantasy at its finest. The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. This is more of a domestic suspense with like a historical timeline. So I think it'd be really great for people who kind of like wanting to dip the toe in historical fiction a little bit more, but really do like thrillers or family dramas. It is about a wealthy, eccentric woman and the legacy she leaves her family, and it's told through a series of flashbacks, and it's really good. I like Rachel Hawkins. This one might be controversial, but I had to include it. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Yes, this is contemporary fiction, but there is historical timeline. Yes, it reminded me a lot of Evelyn Hugo. And if you love that book, why would you not want to read something that also is similar to that? And plus, it's written by Emily Henry, one of the greatest. I just love her way with words. This is another book about an eccentric, wealthy, formerly famous woman who is considering writing her memoir, and the young woman who is like determined to get the gig, and the young man standing in her way. And it's all intertwined, and it's so good. So good. I loved it. It's my favorite Emily Henry now. Stay tuned for a post about that. Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleaton. I love this series. So this is the first in the series about a family of very strong Cuban women. And this one is kind of sets the stage for all the rest of the books. And it's about a young woman in present day Miami who is trying to learn more about her family history, goes back to Cuba to explore her background. So it flashes back between, I believe it's her grandmother's time, the young woman at the center of the storyline during the Cuban Revolution. And it's really, really great. It's especially great on audio. I'll just say that. So on to the books that I haven't yet read that are on my TBR, and the one that I think I'm going to probably end up reading for this prompt. The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton. I think I need to finally read some Kate Morton. These books are all really thick, but I think it's time. Everyone says I will love her work, and I just haven't gotten around to it. This is the story of a family forever changed by a crime, and it has a World War II and a present day timeline. The Things We Cannot Say by Kelly Rimmer is another one that I might end up picking up. I've owned it forever. A lot of people love this book. I've read other work by Kelly Rimmer that I've enjoyed. I'm actually reading her latest right now, and it's only okay so far. Stay tuned for updates about that. This is the story of one woman's search for the truth about a family mystery. Again, it's a World War II and a present day timeline. I may also read this one, because this is another one that my book club is currently choosing between, or probably by the time you guys see this, we'll have selected or not selected on a poll. I don't know, whatever. I'm rambling now. The Vanishing Half by Brett Bennett. This is a story of two identical twins whose life take a very different path. It has a 1950s setting and a 1990s setting. And it's a BIPOC authored book about passing. The Winter Sea by Susanna Kersley. This could end up on my TBR this month too, or in June, depending on when I post this. I just recently read my first Kersley, and it was so good. So now I'm like dying to read all of her backlist, and everyone says I'm going to love this one. This is a time slip novel that has two different settings, a modern timeline and an early 18th century timeline set in Scotland. I'm a huge Outlander fan, and so many people have told me if I love Outlander, I'm going to love The Winter Sea. The Final Prompt. This is from Gloria Z. Thompson, and it is historical fiction about a specific event. And I've loosely interpreted this for a few of these books. Let me talk about the ones that I've read so far. The House is on Fire by Rachel Beanland. Though this was not my favorite book, it was really good. I don't tend to like books that have a heavy, like Christian tones to them, and this one kind of did. So that was really my biggest beef with this book. Otherwise, it was really great, and it has 4 different timelines. Really, really emotional, kind of power-packed. It's a fictionalized account of the Richmond Theater Fire of 1811. Coronation Year by Jennifer Robson. This is a cozy mystery about the 1953 coronation of Queen Elizabeth. I just gobbled up. 100 Summers by Beatrice Williams. This one is a little tricky because it is really a story of a 1930s socialite and kind of her summer and all of the people around her and kind of the drama associated with that. But in the background is the 1938 Great New England Hurricane. On to the books that I have not yet read. The Paris Express by Emma Donoghue sounds really good, though I've seen some mixed reviews. This is a fictionalized account of the 1895 Paris Montparnasse train disaster. West with Giraffes. So many people tell me that this is a really wonderful book. I believe it's available on Kindle Unlimited, so there's that, by Linda Rutledge. It's a fictionalized account of the true story of an incredible journey of the first 2 giraffes to ever come to the San Diego Zoo. Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys, a fictionalized account of the 1945 sinking of the William Gustloff, the greatest maritime disaster in history. Now, what I will tell you is this. This is a YA novel. I am not a huge fan of YA novels, but I have read another Sepetys YA that was so good. It was like YA done right. So there's that. And everybody loves this book. Flight of Dreams, yet another Ariel Lohan book. What can I say? This is a reimagining of the this is a reimagining of the 3-day journey of the Hindenburg. The Nature of Fragile Things by Susan Masinier, who I adore, is a fictionalized account of 3 women kind of thrust together in the wake of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. And lastly, and this is one of the books that my book club is also voting on in response to these prompts, and that's The Rhino Keeper by Julian Forsberg. This is a fictionalized account of a Dutch sea captain who toured Europe with Clara, an Indian rhinoceros. It's also a dual timeline, so it actually fits 2 prompts. So it's not really about an event, but maybe a series of events, because it is a true story and this rhino did tour Europe. So that's what I got for you guys. I am really curious. Had you heard about this historical fiction reading challenge before this video? And if you, regardless of whether you had or had not, are you planning to read along with the reading challenge? Are any of these books on your TBR? Have you read any of them? What were your thoughts? What books would you add in response to these prompts? And I've listed them all below. And yeah, thanks for following along. Be sure and subscribe and stick around for more. I've got lots of content coming. Be sure and sign up to my email newsletter if you want exclusive email content. I send that out once per month. And yeah, happy reading.